Okay, and the live stream is active. The meeting is yours.
Okay. Thank you, Phil. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Monday, September 21st, 2020 meeting of the Village of Woodridge Plan Commission. Before we get started tonight, we need to take the roll. So Madam Secretary, if you wouldn't mind calling the roll.
Sure. Baylog here. Cortez.
Here.
Gaspar.
Here.
Hendel Kanunen.
Here.
Jirag.
Here.
Sealander.
Here.
Presbyorka.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Our first item on the agenda tonight is the approval of the minutes of the August 31st, 2020 Plan Commission meeting. Can I hear a motion to either approve or if anyone has any changes?
I do have, Chairman, I do have some changes. This is Baylog.
Okay.
On page 11 of our packet is where the recommendations are from last meeting. And if you look at the first two recommendations, the first one, they're both of the findings of fact. The first one Jirag makes of findings of fact for a planned unit development major amendment as contained in Exhibit B. And then I go on to an attempt to make the special use permit adopt a special use permit, but I make the exact same motion. So I make a motion to adopt the findings of fact for the planned unit development major amendment as contained in Exhibit H.
Yeah, I see it's repeated there now. Yeah.
Yeah, so I would like to make a motion that we change that wording to adopt the findings of fact for a special use permit for a final planned unit development plan and plat as contained in Exhibit I and with no modifications by the Plan Commission.
I second that.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Baylog. That needs a vote then.
Who seconded me? Sealander?
Cortez did.
Sorry, thanks. Okay, Baylog, aye. Cortez?
Aye.
Gaspar?
Aye.
Hendel Kanunen?
Aye.
Jirag?
Aye.
Sealander?
Aye.
Presbyorka?
Aye.
All right, motion carried.
And that was the only correction you had?
That's all.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and our first case tonight is a consideration of a special use permit for a commercial use located within a permitted and special use, including restaurants and accessory cocktail lounges and outdoor customer seating for 8102 Lamont Road, Suites 200 and 300, Skeleton Key Brewery. This case tonight includes a public hearing. So we will now enter the public hearing portion of this case. This agenda item is a public hearing of the Plan Commission convened for the purpose of considering a request for a special use permit for Skeleton Key Brewery located at 8102 Lamont Road. The applicant is Skeleton Key Brewery LLC, 8102 Lamont Road, Suite 300, Woodridge, Illinois, 60517. The applicant is seeking a request for a special use permit to permit a 2,200 square foot expansion of Skeleton Key Brewery into Suite 200 of 8102 Lamont Road. Notice of the public hearing on the matter to be considered was published in the Bugle on September 2nd, 2020. A copy of the certificate of publication shall be made a part of this hearing record as Village Exhibit A. Let the record reflect that all other notices required by law have been given. So is staff ready to present the case?
I am.
Thank you, Phil. Please be sworn in.
Phil, can you raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do. And Commissioners, I'd like to enter my report into the record this evening as Exhibit B, please. So the application before you tonight, as the Chairman outlined, is for a special use permit for essentially an expansion of one of the existing tenants at 8102 Lamont Road, which is Skeleton Key Brewery. For a little bit of history on the site itself, the building that occupies the site is approximately 105,850 square foot development on a roughly 9.5 acre site. It's commonly referred to as the Lapata building after the owner who brought the site plan approval forward before the village board, and that did receive approval back in the year 2000. It is a mixed use development that really contains a wide variety of uses that all fall under the ORI zoning. So some office work, some light industrial work, so on and so forth. The proposal brought before you tonight has been a number of months in the making. The applicant approached village staff a number of months ago to outline the proposal for an expansion into an additional suite within the aforementioned subject property, the mixed-use building. And that really, the conversation from there was about how that proposed expansion would work within the village's zoning. So to provide a little bit of history and context, the applicant, Skeleton Key Brewery, currently occupies approximately half of the space that you see before you. This is a rendering and a site plan of what the proposal would look like after the expansion takes place. At the time that they originally moved in to 8102 Lamont Road, the use was approved by the village board as conforming with the approved uses under the ORI zoning district, the uses that just go straight to building permit and don't require any form of special use permit. And the reason for that was, at the time, the suite that the applicant occupied was very evenly split between the manufacturing of the goods and products themselves, and then some accessory retail space for said product, which, as we all know, is beer and alcohol. Under the proposed expansion, it was staff's opinion that the really what was expanding was the taproom element, and as such, that would trigger the special use permit request that is here before you all tonight. The ORI district has a one particular special use permit category, a use class, that covers a wide variety of commercial uses within the ORI district as secondary to any other use, be that permitted or special, within the ORI district. So to put that as clearly as possible, a wide variety of uses are permitted in tandem with any other use that would be allowable within the ORI. Particularly in this case, that would include restaurants, although this is slightly different than a restaurant, and I'll get into that momentarily here. But it would be classified similarly. It's just a very specific definition there. So restaurants, and then the outdoor seating, which you can kind of see here on the plan. It does include a proposed patio area for the external area of the building. So that is the request. Like I say, it was something many months ago that was in discussion, and staff just felt that kind of increase of the taproom space would really require that special use permit as it extended that element of this building, although the manufacturing use itself would still continue and thus would still be permissible under ORI zoning. So when I say specifically about the restaurant use itself, the proposal before you, as I mentioned, would include extended taproom space, restroom facilities as required by the building and plumbing code in relation to the size of the space. And then there is an area designated as a service station, an event counter. The applicant Skeleton Key Breweries has a long relationship with numerous food vendors within the area. So although they would not have a kitchen facility within the area itself, they would continue to provide space for external vendors to provide food in partnership as somewhat of a business incubation facility. Like I say, this is something that the applicant is doing already, and the expanded space would allow them to continue that business model. In terms of staff analysis, just to provide a little bit more detail, the use does fit well with the rest of the uses. As mentioned, this is a multi-tenant building. There are a variety of uses, from a party store, party supply, online ordering store, to a glass manufacturer, and that's actually who's decreasing the amount of space that they take up in the building so that the applicant, if approved, could move into this additional space. In terms of parking, the site has more than adequate parking for this particular use under the current village code requirements. Based on the amount of square footage that this expansion would take up, and therefore the business as a whole would take up, the applicant would only be required to have about 18 parking spaces, and that's definitely on the conservative side of the calculations. The applicant would be required to have 18 parking spaces. The building and the site itself has 275 parking spaces available for use, and the use of this applicant, and the applicant is available to talk a little bit more about this, but upon conversation and conversation with multiple people within the village that are very familiar with the establishment, the peak hours that this establishment utilizes tend to run opposite to the other users within the facility. Finally, I want to touch on the outdoor patio itself. So the applicant has been using an outdoor seating area during the pandemic in line with one of the mayor's emergency orders. Multiple of our restaurant and bar businesses took advantage of that emergency order to be able to continue providing service in a safe and permissible manner during the pandemic. And the applicant seeks to make that somewhat more permanent. So just to talk through the actual site plan itself here, this open area that you see right here is currently a dock door for the glass business. The intention would be to turn that dock door into entrance and exit to the patio. Under the village code, patios with alcohol service need to only be accessible from the interior of the licensed premises. And thus the idea would be that you would access the licensed premises through the same door that you do right now. And then you would only be able to access the patio from the interior through what is currently the dock door for the glass shop. The building department has worked closely with the applicant on these plans. I do have a slightly updated version since this screenshot was taken. But the applicant will be providing a 4-foot high fence around the patio itself to prevent access from the exterior of the building. There will be a gate that is required by building code here that opens from the inside only to allow emergency egress from the patio area. And that would be fully in compliance with village code. With that, that does conclude my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions, and the applicant is also here to make a brief presentation as well.
Thank you, Phil. Before we get on to questions, I would probably recommend that the applicant present their application next.
Yes, thank you. And thank you all for your consideration. My name is Emily Slayton. I am one of the 3 owners of Skeleton Key Brewery, along with my husband and my brother.
Emily, real quick, I do need to swear you in. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay. Can you raise your right hand? Do you
Right.
swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry about that. Thank you. So yes, so we've been in Woodridge for about, it'll be actually 4 years this week is our anniversary. We, right now, the plans that Phil showed you show you about, the seating part of our area. We actually take up a much larger portion of that also for our manufacturing part of our facility, where we actually make beer on site and produce that for retail sale in the tap room. this was when Willow Ridge came to us, they were looking to consolidate their space to make it more affordable for them to continue to be there. And they said, would you be interested in taking over some of this space for us? And it seemed like a great idea because we get hit up fairly regularly for events. And so initially we were thinking, this would be a great opportunity to be able to host special events, put in a secondary tap room and create sort of an area where we could also expand our bathrooms and sort of be able to shut that, separate the two spaces. That of course COVID hit and everything changed. Our whole business model changed. We've always been very taproom driven, where we consider ourselves to be very much a community space. And because of social distancing restrictions, which we completely agree with, it has limited the amount of people that we can allow into our facility. It's cut the number of people we can have in here by at least half. And so we decided to move forward, or hopefully move forward with this expansion so that we can continue to provide ample space between people and yet still be able to be viable as a community hub where people can come and enjoy craft beer. And, we teach classes here. My husband and I both teach for COD, their Business of Craft Beer program, and we host their classes here. And so it just seems like a really natural progression of what we do. We are a business incubator. We have helped 3 different breweries open up in various locations through our incubator program. We do allow, we bring in food trucks and pop-ups. So we try to support other vendors that way as well. And so we feel that through this expansion, we'll be able to do that even more so, even, regardless of what 2021 might throw at us and whatever comes next. So for us, this is really a way to be more flexible in the way that business runs right now. And as far as the patio goes, we've been running this ad hoc patio. It was something that it wasn't an immediate plan for us. And when the village came to us and said, this is something we're going to be allowing, we hustled to get a patio in place. And we've, really learned a lot from, about the right way to do things. And we've gotten a lot of great feedback from people who come in here saying that, we're doing it right. They feel safe here. And so having a permanent patio just feels like, again, a natural progression of that. And I just really would appreciate the opportunity to be able to grow within Woodridge. It's a great community. It's a place that we love being, and we've received such great support from the village, and we just love to continue to grow here.
Thank you, Emily. Is that your full presentation?
I think so.
Okay,
I'm happy to answer any other questions that you guys have.
great. Okay. Before we get into the commissioner's questions, at this time, we'll now accept both questions and comments from the public. Phil or Director Porter, has anybody raised their hand or wanted to join in or ask questions on the live stream?
We have had no signups for public comment this evening, and we also have received no written or voicemail testimony either at this time. Okay.
All right, then let's move on to the Plan Commission commissioners' questions and comments. And Phil and Director Porter, if anybody does chime in from the live stream, please break in and let us know. Okay, so commissioners, any questions for staff or the applicants?
This is Commissioner Baylog. I'm just curious. I wasn't quite sure with looking at the layout. So the patio outdoor would be to the east of the building?
It would be along the frontage of Lamont Road itself. So
Okay,
when the building initially was considered for site plan approval in 2000, the condition placed by the village board at the time was that any dock doors for that mixed-use facility were to be located along Lamont Road.
Okay.
And so it's taking the place of that dock door where a
Okay.
current industrial user resides.
Is it
Okay.
possible to go back to the site plan, Phil?
Absolutely. There we go. So Lamont Road is kind of just off screen here.
Okay. All right, that's what I thought. I mean, normally it's north is up, so I just wanted to make sure I understood it.
Sure.
That's all. Well, actually, let me ask one more question. And I'm sorry, I tried to do some research and I started too late. I didn't have so a Skeleton Key Brewery, a brewery that you can walk into and have a beer? Or is it an event only? Is it event only based?
No, we have a tap room.
Okay.
I'm actually sitting in it right now. That's not
Okay.
a.
Okay, thank you. Because I saw there are events and that looked very interesting. So thanks. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nancy. Any other questions?
This is
Go ahead.
Commissioner Hendel Noonan. I just want to continue with the question on the outdoor patio. So is that going to be is that going to be built where there are current parking right now, or is that in the grassy?
We estimate that there may be a loss of 1 to 2 parking spaces where the patio itself is intending to go. The majority of it takes up the dock door space, and there is some kind of loading area that isn't shown on this plan. But there's a chance it may extend slightly into 1 to 2 parking spaces we would expect to be lost at most.
Okay, thank you. And then I did have a second question, if I could. It had to do with, in the report, it talked about a warming kitchen. Could you just briefly talk about what that is, just for my clarification and for the clarification for the viewing public?
Yes, absolutely. So really it's sort of a term that we put together to sort of better explain what we're trying to do. But currently when we have food pop-ups, so think of a food pop-up as a caterer who comes in and serves food. They bring all of their own equipment, and we usually put them in a space that we have certified by the health department that is now going to be going away because we're going to have the pass-through. So sort of if you look to just the south of the bathroom doors, right now that's where our quote-unquote warming kitchen is. It's really just a space where these food vendors can set up. So we just called it a warming kitchen. It was probably a bad idea because it makes it sound like a kitchen, which is why we renamed it to event counter. But there will be no hoods, no actual cooking going on. It's just a place for those food vendors to set up.
Thank you.
Commissioner Sealander, do you have a question?
I have a couple, yeah. So that counter space is where, so today you have a lot of trucks that come and serve, but somebody who doesn't have a truck or wants to do something different, I think there was I don't know, there was a charity that came in and made some food at one point when I was there. They could set up there and they could have a crock pot or whatever, and they could sell whatever they're doing.
As long as they're licensed and they have like a food service, and sanitation license from the health department, from the DuPage County Health Department, yes, we would welcome them.
Okay.
We also hope to, through our partnership with COD, we're hoping to partner with the culinary school there to make this be a possibility for students to actually sort of road test some of their, their creations, because they have a commercial kitchen at the school. And so our hope is that this can be another one of the many doors that are key unlocks for people, so that these students can sort of get an idea for like what a fast casual concept might feel like for them. But also in the winter for the trucks, for the food trucks, it's really cold out there. And so a lot of them try to move inside and do pop-ups instead of being out on the truck. So it's the same thing where they cook on the truck, but then they're able to come inside and serve from there. So a little more comfortable for them.
In wintertime, you don't really have trucks, so this will add some stuff for wintertime probably.
Yeah, it'll make them more likely to want to be able to come out because they don't have to worry about their propane tanks, freezing. They can cook things at their commissary, keep them warm, and then serve them here.
It's awesome. Okay. In staff, ORI requires a certain percentage of office, but it doesn't require any specific amount of warehouse or manufacturing. Is that
right? So the intent of the code when it comes to the ORI district is at the time of site plan approval, so for the building as is, we expect a minimum of 5% of that site plan to be dedicated to office space, just to try and shepherd any potential uses away from heavier industrial and towards more office space. So that question of designated office space was dealt with in 2000. But in terms of the other uses, no. If you look at the midpoint development on James Avenue, that's pretty much entirely office space. We don't require any other minimum percentages in the ORI district.
So we could have 100% of tasting rooms or 100% of office, and that's okay with the code.
This particular building was also built via an annexation agreement. So when developments are part of annexation agreements, parameters of
Excuse me,
those
Kim,
developments
we're still in the public hearing part.
Are
So if you'll need to be
No.
sworn in to make comments.
Okay,
Sorry.
You spoke too fast, Kim. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Sorry.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Sealander, please note that this building was the development of this building was part of an annexation agreement. And when buildings are parts of annexation agreement, those development parameters are negotiated as a part of the annexation agreement. So some aspects of this particular development may not always adhere to certain parameters. So we would have to find out what the uses would be allowed per the annexation agreement.
Right. So the question, I guess, this is a special use because we approve of the manufacturing part of this, fits in ORI. If they got rid of the manufacturing, are they going to lose their ability to serve booze?
Right. So I think we've kind of had a similar discussion on this before, and I think the example that we used was a Google campus, if you will, in that the intent within the ORI district is to allow uses that one may typically find within, a contemporary office development. So an office development may require a cafeteria, may want to provide some kind of child minding services, may want to provide a hairdresser on site for whatever reason, right? So the intent within the ORI code as it stands right now is that any commercial use would be secondary to the office or light industrial use. The case before you tonight is that it is secondary to the light industrial use.
So Emily needs to know she got to keep making good beer. So that's
It's
part of the formula to do. Parking requirements for retail and restaurants. What is that?
It is, let me get you the exact number. I want to say, so because this is a multi-tenant building, it's slightly different than it would be if it was a standalone for a retail restaurant use, but let me pull you the exact number right now.
Bill, I don't think that retail parking was applied to this particular building when it was constructed either.
No, it was not.
Yeah, so that particular wouldn't be applicable to this building, but Phil's going to look it up for you.
We do have what would have likely been applied at the time. We do have kind of a generic light industrial parking requirement. But in terms of your question, Commissioner, give me one moment here. As I switch to my second screen.
I can pull it up for you.
Oh, here we go. I got it. So establishments dispensing food or beverages for consumption on premises, which this use would likely fall as for this use. In an establishment within a multi-tenant building, which this is, would be one parking space per 200 square feet of net floor area. It's important to note that there's a lot of things that we do not count within the net floor area, which would include utility space, bathrooms, so on and so forth. So pretty much in this use particularly, we're really kind of counting the office space, the tap room space. Conservatively, we're even counting the patio space, but we would not be counting the bathrooms. We would not be counting any of the utility closets, anything of that nature.
And is that where the 18 is coming from?
Mm-hmm.
Because there's 34 tables there. That would mean at least 34 cars. So good news is this is only going to be at night. You're not going to have lunchtime hours.
Not currently, we don't have that planned. I think we'd have to talk to you guys again if we wanted to do that.
That's all my questions.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other questions from the commissioners?
I have one, maybe a couple.
Okay, go ahead.
In the past, there have been events out back, is this patio going to replace having the need for any tents or any food trucks behind this facility?
I don't know that it would replace that. The seating on the patio will allow us to have, I think, approximately 40 more seats. The events out back are generally more, I mean, who knows when we'll be able to have events anyway, but the events out back are more meant to be more of, you know, like an event. So it would be more for like a party for the brewery, where when we have those, we have hundreds of people that come to those. So when we did I mean, I doubt that we would ever do an event directly out back of the facility again, but last year when we did the one out on the 10,000 square feet of land to the west of the building, that was kind of a unique situation and something that we would love to do again, to be honest, if you guys would allow it. But that would be something different. This would be more for, well, the original intent of the space was for private events, but the patio is, you know, we hope to be able to be using it fairly regularly. So special events would be something different.
Okay. And then the last question will be, in the new facility, you've got the new bar. Is the bar that's there now, is that going to remain operational too?
It will. It will remain operational. Again, we're hoping that having these two different bars will allow us to be able to divide the space so that we can have like a special event going on over there while we can continue to have regular business over here. Over here is, I'm sitting in the current tap room right now. You guys can't tell that, but now you know. But yeah, so that would be, that was the whole idea of having the second bar, was to make it easier to be able to serve people if they're having like a bridal shower or you know, potentially a wedding once that's possible again, while we could still be having our regular patrons over here.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you.
May I request a point of clarification from the applicant?
Yes.
Emily, looking, and this just is for my notes as well as we move forward to the village board, future village board meeting. For the outdoor patio area that I'm looking at, is the seating arrangement just for the layout, for layout purposes, assuming this will be the maximum seating post-pandemic, or is this your current pandemic seating arrangement?
That's a great question. Yes, all of the seating that is shown here is from pre-pandemic planning. If you look at the bar alone, you can knock out every 2 seats just to make that even possible. For the tables in the main area, you can knock out every other table. And then on the front patio, I mean, that, you know, yeah, we know to space everything apart 6 feet. We've been really good about it. So that would be like maximum. What you're looking at is sort of ideal if things ever go back to normal.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. I know, again, these plans, as Phil stated, and as I'm aware of, were submitted pre-pandemic. So I just want to make sure. Thank you.
Thank you. Phil, I have a question on the layout that's on the screen now. Can you please, for the public record, kind of show us where suite 300 is and where suite 200 is?
Absolutely. The dividing line is essentially kind of going right through the restrooms right here. So the restrooms kind of here are, Emily, correct me if I'm wrong here, but these are existing restrooms for the most part, right? And then the restrooms over here would be really the start of the new side of the facility. So this shaded area here would be the continued use of the glass company that currently occupies through to this area, and essentially everything you see here from the 3 and back where the mouse is right now, the new bar, the tap room, this service station, and seating up here, the event counter, and up to this wall. That's really what currently forms the new suite as it stands. And Emily, I guess I could be working off old information, but there is still a wall there right now. Building permits have been issued for the demolition of that demising wall, because the building permit itself, just for the expansion, is not tied to the special use permit, because obviously theoretically that could have been an expansion to additional manufacturing facilities potentially.
Okay,
Does that
thank you.
clarify for you, Chairman?
Yep, thank you. Okay, any last questions from the commissioners? Okay, if not, will the applicant desire to make a brief summation?
Thank you all for listening to me talk about this. I really appreciate your consideration, and I am here to answer any questions you guys have, even as we move forward, hopefully, with this. We have always been respectful of our neighbors and will continue to be so. And I really just feel that this expansion will just allow us to just continue to be the community space that we have been and that we've continued to try to be during the pandemic, and that this additional space will really allow us to continue to serve people safely. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. All right, the Plan Commission will be considering its recommendation at its regular meeting this evening. That meeting is not a public hearing and no statements or testimony will be permitted. At this time, I would like to ask the Plan Commission for a motion closing the public hearing.
Commissioner Cortez makes a motion to close the meeting.
Commissioner Drag, second.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Okay, Cortez,
Aye.
Gerard.
Aye.
Baylog, aye. Gaspar,
Aye.
Hendel Kanunen,
Aye.
Sealander,
Aye.
Presbyukra.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Okay, I will enter into the discussion portion of our meeting regarding this case. Are there any further comments, questions, or discussion items for this case from the commissioners or staff?
Will, if they want to open for lunch, do they have to come in front of us or someone?
It would likely, Commissioner, be more of a question around the actual liquor licensing than it would be anything related to the zoning itself. So there are, and I'm not overly familiar with the process that's handled by our administration department, but there are really multiple layers to the liquor licensing. Firstly, kind of comes from the state, then comes from the local level. So that would probably more likely be handled at a staff and village board level than it would be at a plan commission level.
Okay.
Okay. If no further questions or comments, Phil, would you please summarize the actions necessary? They're on page 14 in the packet.
Absolutely. So there'll be two motions needed tonight, Commissioners. The first motion relates to the findings of fact, which you can find split across pages 18 and 19 of your packets this evening. They're the final two pages of your packet. So you would need to make a motion to adopt those findings of fact as contained in Exhibit C, and of course modify them as you see fit. After that, the second motion that you would need to make would be a recommendation to the Mayor and Board of Trustees for either approval or denial of the special use permit for a commercial use located within a permitted and special use, including restaurants with accessory cocktail lounges and outdoor customer seating for 8102 Lamont Road, Suites 200 and 300.
Okay. No, if there's no further questions, is there anyone who would like to make a motion for the findings of fact?
This is Commissioner Hendel Kanunen. I'll make a motion to adopt the findings of fact for a special use as contained in Exhibit C with no modifications from the Plan Commission.
Thank you. Needs a second.
Second.
Commissioner Gasper, second.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Hendel Kanunen,
Aye.
Gaspar,
Aye.
Baylog, aye. Cortez,
Aye.
Gerard,
Aye.
Sealander,
Aye.
Presbyukra.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Next, we need a motion for the recommendation.
This is
Go ahead.
Commissioner, this is Commissioner Drag. I'll make a motion to recommend to the mayor and board of trustees for approval of special use permit for a commercial use located within a permitted and special use, including restaurants with accessory cocktail lounges and outdoor customer seating for 8102 Lamont Road, Suite 200 and 300, subject to compliance with all applicable village codes and ordinance.
Thank you. Needs a second.
Commissioner Cortez seconds.
Thank you.
Girag,
Aye.
Cortez,
Aye.
Baylog, aye. Gaspar,
Aye.
Handel Kanunun,
Aye.
Sealander,
Aye.
Presbyorka,
Aye.
motion carried.
Thank you. Emily, good luck with the rest of your project and process.
Thank you all so much. I really appreciate it.
Okay. Next item on our agenda tonight is any public comments from items not related to the agenda, the case we just heard. So Phil, nothing, you're shaking your head.
Seeing
Nothing.
none.
Okay. All right. If anything does come in, please let us know.
Absolutely.
Any discussion items? Nothing? Okay. Any update of previous plan commission cases? I'm sure there is an update.
We didn't have a plan commission meeting earlier this month due to a holiday, but
Board meetings? Any cases before the board?
the Lamont, and I thought we talked about this, I'm sorry, the Lamont Road project did not receive positive approval for that particular project.
So that was the case that took 2 board meetings
And 2 plan
to go through, right?
Mhm.
Okay. Okay, and Kim, any comments on future schedule for the plan commission?
Plan commissioners, Lisa will be sending emails out. There is a chance you may not have any case considerations for the first meeting in October. So please be mindful and check your emails. Lisa will be sending something out. You may you may potentially have just 1 case consideration for the second meeting in October, but Lisa will be reaching out to all of you collectively to inform you of that and to find out what your schedule will be as we're starting to head into the holiday season.
Thank
Yay.
you. Okay, and last item on the agenda, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Commissioner Cortez makes a motion, we adjourn.
Sealander seconds.
Cortez,
Aye.
Sealander,
Aye.
Baylog, aye. Gaspar,
Aye.
Handel Kanunun,
Aye.
Girag,
Aye.
Presbyorka,
Aye.
motion carried.
Okay, meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for your participation tonight, and we'll see you soon.
Have a good night.